Welcome to Espresso Yourself, the podcast where mom life, running life, and teaching life collide.
We're three women juggling lesson plans, long runs, and real life chaos, sharing honest conversations about motherhood, miles, and making a difference in and out of the classroom.
Whether you're listening on a run, in the carpool line, or hiding out with your coffee, you're in the right place.
So lace up,
tune in,
and let's do life together.
Welcome back to Espresso Yourself. It has been a minute or 2 or 3 weeks since we have last chatted. We took a little break for Easter and then life was just hectic and we took another break. So thank you for being patient for our listeners. We are diving back in today. It feels so weird because we've texted here and there, but it's really been kind of mute amongst us as far as like what has really happened in these last 3 weeks. We know a little bit of what each other has been doing, but we have not dived deep into a lot of the details and the nitty gritty of what has happened. And there has been so much that happened that part of me is like, I don't even know where to begin because we left off where it was the start of my spring break. And then we had crazy things happening on our little trip. We've been back, testing is starting. So, and I know with you girls, life has just been lifing. So, yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah, who wants to go first today?
I'll start with today. We'll go backwards in time. So, because I was waiting until you were on, Becky. So, weather, Indiana weather, we went from 80 on Friday to rainy and stormy yesterday, and then like 30s overnight, and our high was like 50 today. But Oliver had his first tournament for his travel ball. He played last Thursday. They had like their scrimmage game and they won. Like, I think it was like 18-1. They won that game. And then they played today. So they were supposed to play 2 games yesterday and then one today for their tournament. And it got rained out. So they like rescheduled how they were doing it. And so they split the divisions up a little bit. So we played 2 games back to back with the same team today. Their first game was 16-1. And then their second game was like 13-3, something like that. No, 11-3. Take that back. But so they won, and Oliver got his first hit today. He actually ended up with 2 hits. So he finally got a hit. So he was just like,
That's exciting.
yes. So I think he felt more confident. The pitcher was a little bit slower than like the other teams he's played, which I think helped. But yeah, it just definitely helped with his confidence because I think he just needed that. But he ended up getting 2 hits. So we were like super excited for him, even though it was a really cold game. So now he brought home another ring. So we got to celebrate that today. Then we came home and we're like, it's nap time. But the kids have other plans. So we took a quick nap. Now my husband's out mowing and my kids are probably going to interrupt 500 times. And you've been in
My
baseball.
goodness.
How's that going for you?
Yeah, so our baseball season actually is almost over.
Which is so crazy to me.
So I know, it's so crazy. We started in February because it's like just nice here. And I think Carson told me that he only has 3 games left. And then they start like the championship. So they like have 6 teams and Carson's team is in first. And that just only like lets them know who they're going to play against first. But I think it's going to conflict with the musical that we're doing at school. And I'm like, how are you going to choose? Then my husband told me he could have a game on Friday night and Saturday, which guess when the musical is? On a Friday night and Saturday. So
you guys do 2 shows?
Yeah, for musicals, yes. They do musicals is Mother's Day weekend, which I had no idea, not a clue that was Mother's Day weekend. But yeah, we do 2 preview shows on that Friday, one for pre-K through second grade, and then one for third through fifth grade. And then the kids like stay the rest of the day at school, and then they do a show at night on Friday, and then we come back to school the next day and they do a show again, and then we all collapse from exhaustion
Yeah.
because we have rehearsal every day that week and they're getting in their costumes and like, the whole deal. So, but he's going to have baseball and I was like, how is he going to pick? And my husband's like, yeah, he can just miss the play. And I was like, what are you talking about? He can just miss the play. He has lines. We've been practicing for this since the beginning of baseball season, since the beginning of February. So
And this is a
some
once in a
choices are gonna,
lifetime chance. He can play
I
baseball again.
know, I know. I don't want him to miss all his games. So we'll find out what the schedule is and see what he's gonna do. But yeah, our baseball season's almost over, and Tyler's almost done playing t-ball, which he's gonna do another couple rounds of that. But yeah, it's been like a whirlwind. And then I traveled to Chicago, so I felt that same like gorgeous, gorgeous weather on Friday. And then Saturday, I was like, I don't even know like what to wear. I didn't have warm enough clothes. I didn't bring warm enough clothes. Um, but I got to buy a couple of Indian outfits. So let me tell you the lead up. This wedding's 3 days. So I met up with the bride and we had dinner and I hadn't seen her like since she'd been engaged. And I was like, please tell me the entire schedule so that I know what to expect and what to do because I'm literally the only white person in this whole Indian wedding. And so I've just never done it before. So she says, okay, get in on Wednesday. Thursday morning, we're going to the temple. And I said, okay, what do I wear to the temple? She said, a yellow dress. I said, how about a yellow sundress? She said, well, you have to wear something over your arms. And I said, okay, how about this dress? And she said, it has to go down to your ankles. I said, maybe I need to go buy a new dress. Like, and she's like, maybe you can borrow something. And I was like, okay. Then Thursday night, there's like a party at a brewery. So we're going to go to that. And then Friday, they're going to have another ceremony where I have to wear another like Indian outfit. And then I have to learn this dance. And the rhythm of Indian music is not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's very different.
Isn't it really
Very
fast too,
different.
isn't it?
It's fast and like the rhythm, like I'm a musical person, so I'm
Yeah.
hoping I'll be able to catch on to it, but like I don't know, I'm a little worried about that. So we have like a Zoom meeting about that on Wednesday night. Um but then we need to stay over in the hotel because the wedding itself starts at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning and there's 11 people getting their hair and makeup done. So that's going to start at like I don't know, 6:30. And then there's lunch, then there's pictures, then there's a cocktail hour, then it's like rest, and then there's like then the reception's not until 6 o'clock at night. Like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It's gonna be crazy. So there's there's a lot. There's a lot to look forward to, but I'm just like reeling with all of this information and then repeating it to my husband. He's like, oh no. Because the plan is for all of us to go up and I don't know. I might suggest that the rest of them go up later, like on Friday morning, and I fly up on Wednesday night. I don't know. That's just a lot. So, but that's like all the travel. I got to see my sister over the weekend, so that was fun. Um, and yeah, it's just been crazy. School's been nuts. I've had this little girl who has now decided that she wants to jump up on tables and dance around and throw stools and throw books and throw chairs and I was like, "What happened? What
Is
happened?"
this is
I
this the
have gotten
same
you
girl you have talked about before that had the
maybe.
meltdown about saying thank you?
Yes, this is
That
her.
doesn't show up to school.
She does. She does. She's been sick a little bit,
Okay.
but like, yeah, yes, yes, that is the same girl. So now we're like, the last 2 weeks have been crazy. I've literally like picked her up and moved her and like bear hugged her so that she would be safe.
Do
We had to
you
evacuate the room twice.
do you think now we're, like, going on a
Yeah.
teacher tangent, but because has, like, the behavior progressively gotten worse, would you say?
Yes. Yes.
Do you think,
Since
like, the
spring
sense
break.
yeah, so do you think the fact that spring break, she had to be home, wherever, but you said she traveled, but, like,
They
say
were in
maybe
Disney World.
school's, like, her safe place and she knows summer's coming up and could be acting out with some of that,
It could be.
like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'm hoping that's all it is, but
See, and I went to growth spurt and,
Yeah,
mhm.
you know, something's changing in the chemistry of her brain and how things are registering. And, sometimes they don't like teachers and parents don't see these like behavior issues until they hit like a growth spurt. And then it's like, boom, it's there. That's where my mind went. I was like, well, maybe she's now developing behavioral issues. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be that. She did come from a you wave hi to them? Hi.
hi. Were you
Yeah,
enjoying the
it could
pool?
be did you like the pool? Yes. Yeah, a
Yeah, I
lot.
wanna be in the
You got to
pool.
swim without floaties. Oh, yes.
That's
And I got
exciting.
cold. It got cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Come up to Indiana, and
I
you will
was
not
freezing.
complain about being cold.
I was freezing. The pool itself was like 86 degrees, but we were pressure washing the deck while we were in the pool, so the cold hose water. Yeah. What's today's date? The 19th? Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I love it.
And and that's all she said about that. What have you been up to, Katie?
So, okay, I'm gonna try to like go back a little bit because I have like a Texas thing I did, and then I have a very country girl thing I did on Friday.
Did the rodeo
Okay,
come back? I
just
want
know
the
that
rodeo to
our
come back.
listeners just need to know we're gonna be bouncing around all over the place today. We are covering 3 weeks
Everywhere.
worth of stuff.
Mom, I can't hear them.
And multiple worlds of just experiences that I didn't even plan for. Now, one of them I did. So last weekend, they had the Bluebonnet Festival in a city that's like an hour and a half away from us in the hill country called Chapel Hill. And I know I've been talking about it I've talked about it before, and I said, oh, yeah, I'm going to take our Vegas friends there. And so we had planned to take pictures, and I'm so excited. I'm like, okay, it's going to be so much fun. So we're driving up there, and we kept watching the weather, and it was one of those like overcast, potential rainy days. And I'm like, please don't rain. So we get up there, and we go to turn the corner into the church parking lot where the field is adjacent to the church. And I look and I go, and the blue bonnets are literally to like this big or non-existent. And I was like, where's the pretty big blue field? I had promised these people a gorgeous wildflower field, and there's like nothing. And I felt terrible in this sense because we drove literally an hour and a half from our house to this place. So we
Okay,
parked.
hold on. I have to interrupt just a second because I was kind of wondering why it wasn't blue when I saw those pictures. Like the
I
pictures
was
were so
too.
good, but I was like, you
'Cause
said it was blue bonnets,
where's
and
the blue
where's the blue?
on it?
I was a little confused. I
Well,
thought maybe it's like the Texas mums, and it's like maybe
no,
different in Texas,
and
where
I
it's like
feel
we know what
like
mums.
I've seen your like
Put it in my
Facebook,
ear,
like I
then
saw
they
your
can
pictures
hear
from
us. Good.
a year in the
So
past, and I'm
we
like,
took them
this
last
does not
year.
look the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. So we pull in, and the church puts out people to kind of help facilitate the field and if people need help taking pictures. And I walk over to the very nice man and I say, what's going on? And he goes, well, the lack of rain at the beginning of March led to the lack of bluebonnets. I was like, no. And I mean, when I tell you, I kid you not, they were like this big. They were tiny. And so I felt terrible, but our friends are like, look, we drove up here. There's a nice barn. We can still make the pictures work. So y'all saw our pictures on social media, and we did make them work with all the children because we had 6 young children from the ages of like 5 months to 7 years old. So we're trying to make 3 different family pictures happen at once and, try to corral the children. And then I had to tell the children before we went out, you cannot pick the bluebonnets because picking a bluebonnet in Texas is illegal. Yes, it is. You cannot pick a bluebonnet. And so I literally am sitting there with all the little people and I say, okay, do not pick the blue flowers.
That has to be
And
so
then we get,
hard for
oh my
kids.
God. So one of the littles missed it. And so I see him go over and just rip a bluebonnet out of the ground. I was like, no. And I was like, you can't do that. He's like, huh? But he missed my spiel of like, it's illegal. You can't do it. And I said, no, we can't pick the blue ones. And there were like yellow dandelions. And I was like, you can pick the yellow ones, like pick the yellow flower. So we got our pictures done. And then we went to the festival itself, which they had like tons of vendors with like things to buy, foods to sample. Um, but it was funny at this point, the rain started to roll in. So we like literally finished pictures and then the rain started to roll in. And I was like, okay, um, sorry, the cat is like rubbing her head on the corner of the laptop and it's like doing this. Stop, ma'am. No, you can't do that. Go somewhere else. Um, so we walked the festival for a few hours and everyone had fun. We bought some jams and some soup mixes and sampled all the things. And, then we started losing the kids and it was like, okay, I think it's time to go. Like, I think it's time to like load up the cars and drive back to Houston.
What's the
But
most Texas thing that was at the festival? Like Texas food thing.
oh, there were food trucks, but like corn dogs,
Look, what's going
French
on? There's this
fries.
baby.
Think of like carnival food.
Okay.
There were like fried Oreos.
I wasn't sure if there
But
was going
what
to be something like Texas specific.
no, I don't really, not really. I think it was just more of like the experience of it. Um,
Yeah, yeah. The fact that you can go to jail by picking up a bluebonnet, be
yeah,
fined.
so fun fact, you can't pick bluebonnets in Texas and you can get fined or arrested for it. So if you ever come to Texas, don't pick the blue ones. Really, you can't pick wildflowers, but I know bluebonnets is like it's our state flower. And so you cannot pick bluebonnets whatsoever. But no, it was like a lot of fun, even though the bluebonnets were like little to non-existent. And our friends even were like, we don't have anything to compare this to. So, hey, we enjoyed it. We had fun. Like, thank you for taking us out here. We enjoyed the festival. We'll try it again next year. And maybe next year we'll see more bluebonnets. But yeah. Um, but I did something Friday that was not on my bingo card whatsoever. So we live out in the country, and our neighbor has acquired some stray cats that just hang around their house, and they're not fixed. And one of the cats got pregnant, and she's been like hanging out on our property, and I've sometimes been giving her food. Not all the time, but sometimes. She's a super sweet cat. And something in my mind told me she likes it. She likes here, she likes me. And cats, when they are pregnant, choose places that they feel safe and they like. And I said, something tells me she's going to choose either our property or right at our property to have her kittens. So I'm letting all the dogs out Friday because Omar was out of town for a bachelor party this weekend. And so came home from work, letting all the dogs out. And one of the dogs starts barking at the fence. I was like, what the heck? And we had this low metal hanging fence. And I walk over there and I see the cat and I'm like, oh, maybe she wants some food. I was like, let me get the other dogs inside and I'll mess with her in a minute. So I get all of them inside and I grab her some food and I go back out. I'm like, oh, she doesn't want food. She's in labor because there was a kitten about this big right by her. And I said, oh, we are in active labor. Cool. So I'm like, I'm not going to FaceTime my husband because he's going to get mad at me and be like, no, don't take the cats. Because they were like right at our fence line, but on my neighbor's property, not mine. But where she was, you could tell my neighbor would have no clue that she was there because she hid herself. So I FaceTime my sister-in-law and I was like, what do I do? And she's like, so Omar's aunt lives 3 doors down from us. And she doesn't speak much English, but she loves animals like we do. And we can communicate enough hand signs and one words to kind of understand one another. And I walk over there and I said, the cat's having babies. And she goes, oh, and she understood that. And we start walking down the street to go to our neighbor's house. And our neighbors weren't home, but their kids were, their teenage boys. And so I walk over and she tells them in Spanish, but I tell them in English, hey, your cat's having babies. And he's like, what? He's 16. What does a 16-year-old know what to do about a cat in labor? So I said, well, get me a box and get me gloves. And he's like, oh, okay, okay. So I walk around and she's there and she's starting to have the next one. And I said, oh, and I, just start talking to her like, okay, mama, let's go. I'm talking to the cat. He passes me his gloves. I put them on. I'm helping her like with baby number 2. And they're like, okay, what do we do? And I was like, okay, give me 1 and give me 2. I put him in the box. And then you could tell she was about to have number 3. And I was like, okay, I can't move her yet. Like we have to let her. So she's rolling around, like trying to have number 3. And I'm like, okay. And so then number 3 wasn't moving. They're like, is it dead? And I was like, we're going to let her do her thing. She was kind of like licking the sack off of it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to let her do her thing. And I'm just kind of like trying to help her. And the teenage boy and then the older boy's girlfriend is standing there going, what do we do? And so I guess my just like country girl instinct kicked in, just helping this cat have her babies. And I was like, here, do this, do that. So we finally get mom and her babies in the box. And I said, I think she's got one more. I said, but at this point, she's in a box. Where I found her, she was like in the dirt / half an ant pile. And I was like, I need to get her and the babies out of the ant pile and into the box. So we got them into the box and I said, take her inside. And I'm pretty sure she's having one more. So just let her do her thing. I said, don't touch them unless you have gloves on. I said, because if your scent gets on them, she's going to not want anything to do with them. He said, oh, okay, okay. So, but she let me do my thing. Like the cat did not get upset that I was there or that I was helping. She let me do my thing. But yeah, just add vet to my resume. And that
Oh
was
my
not on my Friday
gosh.
bingo card.
Have you ever seen anything being born?
A dog.
Yeah.
One of our dogs has had puppies before. I've seen that, but not literally coming out of her with the sack still intact. But like my grossed out nature didn't click in. Like it was almost just like I'm doing what I need to do. And I wasn't grossed out. I was just like, I need to help her. So I don't know. I wasn't like grossed out in the moment. I was like, nope, we're just gonna help her have babies.
That's incredible.
So yeah.
That might be better than the rodeo. Oh my gosh. I know we can't count
Yeah.
that as a Texas thing. Bluebonnets counts for this episode.
Check.
Oh my gosh.
That is crazy.
Wow.
Speaking of kittens, though, being born, my neighbor, we were just over talking to them because now that the weather's warming up, they're out, we're out, and the kids, they've got their son's about to be 4, and then they have a 1-year-old, and they're both boys. So my boys like to play with them, and they like to come over. And they'll either come over and play in our backyard, or my boys will go over there. And she was telling me that the one cat that is super friendly, I guess, was pregnant. So the cat that was at our house that day that her brother walked over to get wasn't the same black and white cat that I thought it was that originally had been hanging out in our yard. It was their actual indoor cat, which makes sense why he came to get her. So there's 2 black and white cats, but the other one that I was originally thinking of, I guess, was pregnant, and she said that she had her kittens, and then the storm came, and she moved them over to the neighbor's house that had the pool, and, like, ended up getting, like, underneath the pool cover, um, and so the neighbor ended up getting them out, but they were, like, soaking wet, like, because I think they're only, like she ended up taking maybe that's where she had them. But my neighbor ended up taking them, getting them in a box, and then they're in her garage now taking care of them because she had them under the pool cover, which is totally not safe. But I mean, how's a cat supposed to know that, right? But
No, they
yeah,
just choose a safe place that they like.
yeah, yeah, because there was like a bunch of storms coming in and everything. And so, yeah,
Pets
adventures
are
of kittens.
wild where they
They
choose
are.
to like keep their kittens. That's why, like, I told the neighbor kid, I said, "Hey, take him inside." And luckily, the girlfriend of his brother who came out to help, she knew that. She was like, "No, no, no, we're going to bring him inside and they're going to stay inside." I was like, "Okay, good." Because you leave him out here, she's going to move him Lord knows where. There's dogs everywhere. Yeah, no, we're not. Mm-mm. So
Yeah.
cats will put their
And the
babies
fact of not
anywhere.
touching them because, yeah,
Wow. Talk about adventures.
right?
We've had some, man.
My goodness.
I was just gonna say, like, we've just had some crazy weeks. Like, I know, like, we've taken off time, but I think they've been just loaded for every single one of us from just like mom
Sure.
things, teacher life, and then just personal. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, besides just having a personal life, but I know like we've had losses, we've had wedding stuff, we've had. I mean, it's just like I think of that movie, Four Weddings and a Funeral. Like, I feel like that's like been life lately.
Mhm.
Um, so
Yeah.
you guys will appreciate this because I was planning on telling it on our episode, but then we skipped a week. I would say mom fail, but it's a parent fail in general. When we were at the cabin over our spring break. And well, first of all, you guys know, but our listeners didn't know. So we traveled 3.5 hours to get to our buddy's cabin house that's in the middle of nowhere woods. And there is no electricity whatsoever. And luckily, he was on his way. They were swinging by anyways to hang out with us for a little bit. They called the electric company. They came out because there was a bunch of storms. And like, how is he supposed to know? Because he rents it out. He doesn't live there, right? So they ended up having to come and put a new transformer box up. So we at least ended up with power because we were like, what are we doing? Like, we'd have to go home because we had the dog with us. It's not like we could just go stay at a hotel. But it all ended up working out, but he had to, like, get rid of everything in his fridge and freezer. He had deer meat from a deer that he had gotten that the buddy that he rents it out with, because they live in 2 separate cities, he had brought his deer meat and put it in the freezer so that when he came, he could get it. Well, that was all ruined, like, just deer blood in the bottom of the freezer. Oh, yeah. It was an adventure. So that's how we started our trip, and then that first night Oliver got sick, threw up. He was on the top bunk, Hayes is in the bottom, and the bottom is like a full size, threw up, and it went all the way down to the bottom bunk, so we had to strip both beds. Oh my gosh, and it was just we were, like, cleaning out the washing machine. It was awful, but it was like a something he ate because he was completely fine the next day, but it was just like, "Oh my gosh," and then so when we got down there Thursday, Friday, it was like we were gonna just hike for the day. We packed sandwiches, we had everything. We that night before, we went and got rain boots for Oliver because there was a waterfall and Hayes got to go in it and play, and Oliver couldn't, and he was mad. So we went to Walmart, got him rain boots so that he could go play in the waterfall. So we go to this other place to hike, the one with the waterfall we went to last year. So we go to that other place and we're like, okay, John's like, I think he saw waterfalls when he looked it up. So it's like this trail, a paved trail, but then it had like other trails off to the side, like through the woods. So we do 2 little short trails and we didn't bring our waters. We're like, oh, we should have, but we left them because we were just going to do a short little hike, go look at these waterfalls and come back and eat and then go find some more places. we do these 2 little trails, and then we see this one that is, like, it's the head of the trail, and it's, like, steep, and you have to use, like, a rope. The boys are like, "That looks fun." Right? An adventure. So we get up to the top, we're following this trail. I also read the map wrong. When I was looking at the map, I saw, like, 1.9, and I thought that 1.9 was from the beginning to the very end. No, that was just that little section. So that little section that we took to climb up was 1.9 miles. That's not even covering the miles that we already did leading up to that point. My boys were like dying. So let's just say we walked out. By the time we got out of that trail, it was still 2 miles back to the car. So they probably had already done 2.5 miles. Oliver and I ended up walking up ahead of John and Hayes, and Oliver's like, oh, I'm like, I can't even imagine what Hayes is like, because if Oliver is like complaining, we didn't have water, we didn't have any snacks. That's on us. We should have brought a backpack, but we were thinking, oh, we're just going to go do a little loop, and that was it. All we intended. So note to self, we will never do that again. Because we got towards the end, and I ended up playing music on my phone, like from the movie David. And Oliver's like, why, God? Why are you? And he's like sitting there, like singing the music to David. And we finally found a log, and I'm like, let's just sit here for a minute and let's wait for your dad and them to catch up. Because I was like, if I could trust, if I knew how far they were and I could leave you here, I would just start going back to the car to get stuff and then come back. But I didn't know. And we're waiting for John. I finally pull up the map and I'm like, oh, we just have a little bit and then we're back down. So no big deal. We'll wait till John gets back. Well, John and Hayes catch up with us. We get down and then we see that it's 2 miles. We're like, oh my gosh, it's still another 2 miles. So I had rain boots on. Like I didn't hike in my gym shoes because it was muddy. Like there was areas that was like almost up to my boots. And
Okay, this
Oliver
just
and
proves that social media is a highlight reel because I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's really cool." I looked at all your pictures. It looks so pretty.
oh
I
yeah.
saw the rain boots.
Oh,
I saw you had like a tank top on. I was like, "Yes, that's
it
like some
was.
pretty good weather.
It
Like who
was
cares about the
gorgeous.
rain?" Oh,
It was gorgeous. I mean, all in all, but the stories behind all the pictures, priceless. They're memories. They are memories.
yeah.
So, but there was like slosh and slosh. And we see this couple hiking, and he has leather sandals on and like jeans. And they're hiking the opposite way. So they're about to head through all this muddy slosh. And Oliver and I are like, can't wait till he gets to that slosh because there's no walking around it. And Oliver kept going, Mom, I wonder what that guy's feet look like. Like, probably not very good. Like, who hikes in like when they know that's been raining all week? But so, anyways, when we got back down to the path, I finally was like, you know what? I'm going to just, I'm going to take off. So I run 2 miles in flipping rain boots back to the car. My feet hurt so bad. They were like blistering. I'm like, I need somebody to give me a foot massage. Get back to the car. I switched my shoes because I did have like I had my hiking shoes in the car. I just didn't wear them for the trails because I knew it would be muddy. So I changed them. I grabbed 2 waters. I grabbed all 3 sandwiches. I'm like running back to the boys, wearing, like trying to carry these waters. I end up putting the waters in the pockets of my pants. Like my pants are sliding down as I'm trying to run back, but I at least had gym shoes on. Wasn't planning on running, but I'm like, I needed to get a run in anyway. So I like started my watch and I counted it for my workout challenge. I got back. I only brought 2 waters because I can't carry 3, but I brought all 3 of their sandwiches because I'm like, John is just as bad as the boys and he's hangry. And they were like, we're just going to keep walking. I'm like, no, you're not. You're going to sit down. You're going to eat those sandwiches. They were going to just wait until they got back to the car to eat them. I'm like, absolutely not. I just ran 2 miles in rain boots and back to get you these sandwiches. You're going to sit down and eat them. I mean, they only had about a half a mile left by the time I got back to them. I'm like, listen, you're going to sit down here and eat because oh, my feet hurt. People had to have been looking at me like, what is that girl doing running in rain boots? Like, I don't know. It was so
Yeah, we're
sore.
gonna file that under core memories.
Yes.
Like
for
in,
sure.
what's that movie? Inside Out?
Yeah,
Yeah, my
yeah.
gosh.
And we were trying to have a fire
Wow.
that night because the boys really wanted s'mores. We're like, "Okay." So we
Yeah.
ate outside, had a little like, had the pokers, and all of a sudden, it's like lightning. I'm like, "Well, probably shouldn't be holding on to these pokers while it's lightning." It wasn't raining. So I grabbed a chair and I set the pokers on the chair so that the marshmallows could still heat up without any of us holding them in the just to be safe. All of a sudden, it just starts downpouring. I'm like, "God," I got grabbed the s'mores. We grabbed the stuff. 2 of the marshmallows fell off. Luckily, I was making 4 of them. I was like, "Well, I saved 2, boys." And they weren't really melted. And the boys were like, "These kinda suck." I'm like, "Hey, I tried. Like, I saved 2 marshmallows. We attempted." It was
My
but we had
gosh,
a good time.
that's
Like,
like
I literally was not on my phone except for really to take pictures. I was very just disconnected with anything, and it was nice. It was nice to just be away, be with the family, and just connect. So, that was nice. And then it was back to reality, which we start testing tomorrow. We take our first iLearn test.
so what does your testing look like? Because I guess I like we only do testing three like we do our testing 3 times a year, but like it's not Florida state testing. It's not like 1 week of these 3 sections of math and these 3 sections of reading.
Yeah,
It's like you have your 1 day
yeah. So
and
we
that's it.
have what's
Yeah.
called the ELA CAT, so it's the computer adaptive part, and that one is not timed, so you can come like, you can stop the test, pause the test, and come back to it. You just can't see any of the questions you've already answered. So they
Mhm.
carved out 2 days for that, so, like, an hour for one a little more than an hour on one day, and then they gave us the next day, and we're gonna give the kids a hard stop. We're not gonna test them more than an hour. We're just gonna make sure the kids know, like, "Okay, we're gonna be done testing in, like, 15 minutes. Make sure to go back and look at any questions that you've already seen because you won't be able to see those tomorrow." And I really wanna make sure my kids aren't, like, zipping through the test because if they do, they're not gonna be able to go back to any of those. And really, like, we have 2 days. We have 2 days, so take your time because otherwise you're gonna be bored out of your mind. So we have 2 days for that. So we have Monday and Tuesday. And then Thursday, we take the performance task, which has to be done by the end of the day. And that's the one where they have to basically write an essay. It could be persuasive. It could be so they read like 2 articles, they read these sources and then have to use that to help them. And then next week, we have Monday and Tuesday carved out for our math test. So again, an hour each day. And then Thursday, Friday is the science part. So we have a total of 6 days carved out for testing.
That's a lot.
Oh, and then we turn around a
Holy
couple weeks
cow.
later and take the NWEA test, which they're not even gonna probably be using it next year, but they're having us take it this year. They didn't make us take it in the winter.
Oh,
We
so
took it.
that's map testing.
Yes, yeah. So we didn't take it in the winter, but they had us take it in the fall. Usually we have to do reading, writing, and math, but this year they took away the writing, so it was just reading and math. They didn't make us take it in the winter because of all of the checkpoints, but they're making us take it in the spring, probably to show that year growth, whatever. But I'm like, okay, we took the NWA. We've had checkpoint 1, checkpoint 2, checkpoint 3. Now we're doing summative. Now we're going to do NWA again. I'm like, these kids are going to be done. I'm done. But yeah. So I think we only have what, 27 days left?
Yeah, so us too.
Yeah. And we had our field trip in these last 3 weeks since we've talked. We did our Indy field trip.
How was
Yeah, and we lucked
that?
out. The weather was beautiful. So we ended up adding the sports area this year to our field trip so kids could go outside and do all the like sports activities. I mean, my class I think spent the majority of their time outside and barely looked at anything in the museum, which whatever. The weather was gorgeous. Like, it's bonding, it's learning how to socialize and things. We did do the experiment inside the lab, but yeah, so that was successful. The buses that we had this year were brand new buses, so they were super nice charter buses, like really nice. So that was a plus.
What an
But yeah,
experience.
yeah, it was fun. one of my parents who volunteered, who was on the bus. So his mom, or his wife, subbed in our building for a long time. Like, they're a really nice family. Like, I know them really well. And he was joking because we were passing out snacks on the bus on the way home. And he's like, "Oh, it's like Mrs. Honeywell or whatever from Matilda." Like, being all, "Okay, you get what you get." And like, I'm passing out. Well, then one of my coworkers' students sat in the back with my students because she didn't have anybody to sit with. So she came back. Well, she passed out gum to my kids. You can't have gum on the bus. And she was told prior to being on the bus, she couldn't take her gum. And I have kids with allergies. And she was giving out gum. I was mad. So I went and got the trash and I was like, "If you have gum in your mouth, you are spitting it out." And I was like, "Give me like," and he goes, "Oh, Mrs. Honeywell just went from um Honeywell to what's her name? To Trenchbold."
Miss Trunchbull, yeah.
Yeah. He's like, "Oh, she's not Miss Honeywell anymore." Like, no. I was so mad. And then the girl, like the next day when I was talking to her, she's like, "But they wanted some." I'm like, "I don't care if they wanted any. You ask permission before you give any." Like, well, and then I was like, "I have kids with allergies." Well, if they have allergies, then they should know not to take it. That's beyond the point, Missy. The point is, if you don't have permission to pass it out, you don't pass it out. And you were told not to have it. Well, I was told I couldn't bring my purse. No, you were told. Oh, I was so mad. I was so annoyed. But other than that, the trip was great.
Katie, are you
Yeah.
ramping up at work right now?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I finished summer PD catalog. I'm starting to build out trainings. I'm meeting with people to build out trainings. So like I'm in my ramp up time, and then starting like the week of Memorial Day is when I like get going. And I will train literally when I tell you my summer is packed with trainings. Like I will probably barely see my office at all the entire summer because I will be other places training. Um, but the plan is to like train all summer long. And then the wedding we're both in August is like I finish training, school starts, and then that wedding is that weekend. So I'm planning to like knock out all the trainings, help with school starting, and then take some days off to go be in this wedding. Because,
Yeah.
like, even though I may not need all the days for the wedding, I'm going to take some time to just kind of like decompress because the wedding's going to be a lot. And then I may just want some time just to like be at home and do nothing and just kind of veg out.
And it's going to be
But,
football season again. So,
oh, I am planning a trip with my dad to go up to Lubbock in September. And so we're going to go see U of H, which is his school, and Tech, my school, play each other. And because I'm not going to go see my sister in Europe this year, I wouldn't have had a vacation. So I'm going to use going up there with my dad as like my vacation. And so we're going to plan that for September. And so I'll have tons of like Texas stories from that. And yes, I will like share all my college things and it'll be so much fun. But no, I'm really, really, really excited about that because we decided, I think last weekend, um, sad story, we had to go to a family friend's funeral. And so me and my dad went together. But that same weekend we had lunch and we said, okay, let's go up to Lubbock because we both haven't been in about 14 years. So we're gonna go up there, and he's like, he even loved it. He was like, "Oh no, I want to go to here, here, and here," because anytime he'd come see me, we'd go to all these places. So we're gonna go take a trip and see some of my old stomping grounds that I haven't been to because the drive from Houston is 9 hours. So we're going to fly. Because I asked him, I said, "Do you want to drive or do you want to fly?" Because I was kind of pricing out things. And he said, "Katie, I'm almost 63 years old. I just want to be on a flight." He goes, "I am not about to spend 9 hours in a car." And I said, "Okay, that's fair." I said, "I just didn't know what you wanted." He goes, "No." He goes, "We'll spend the extra money on the flight." I said, "All right, that's fine." He goes, "I am not about to spend 9 hours in a car." I said, "Noted." So that's what we're going to go do in September. But I have to
awesome.
knock out a couple weddings beforehand and tons of training.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna be so busy this summer. Like, when y'all are enjoying your summertime, I'm gonna be training like a mad woman. So, yeah, as y'all
Yeah.
are winding down, I'm amping up.
Winding down we
Yeah, but
are.
summer is gonna go so fast,
Mhm.
I feel like this year. Like, June
No,
is
don't
Oh, it
packed with
talk like
is.
that.
baseball. I know, I know. Well, June's packed with baseball, and then I already have, like, Oliver's going to that week-long camp in July, which call me crazy, which I don't even care. So you know how I'm obsessed with that singer Max, who I went and saw back in September? Think you comment on it? Well, he was in Indianapolis this week on Wednesday night, and I really wanted to go so bad because he was so close, but I had like nobody to go with. Oliver's best friend, his mom works with me, and she likes him too. And she was like, "I would go," but her husband was out of town for work. Otherwise, she would have went with me, and we would have just taken the day off and just went down to see him. Well, it just was released like that day or the day after that he's coming to the Valparaiso State Fair. And I'm like, oh, there'll be seats. There'll be options for seating at that one. So the tickets went on sale yesterday, and I hopped on as quickly as I could and so there's like the pit seating that's all standing, and then they have the VIP section, and then they have the track, and then the grandstands. I'm like, I'm going to go VIP front row. So it's behind the pit, which whatever. But I'm like, I got 4 tickets because I'm like, I'll find people to go, but I'm going to take Oliver. And if his friends and his friend's mom want to go, then they'll go. But I called because I couldn't get a hold of her. So I called my mom. I'm like, if they can't go, will you go with me? Like, I know I'll find somebody to go. So I'm like, I haven't told Oliver yet, but I bought the tickets. So they're like the front row of where the seats are. But it's the same day. It's a Thursday night, which is his last day of camp. So he's going to be at camp from Monday to Thursday. Pickup from camp is like 6:30 and the concert's at 7:30 and it's an hour and a half away. So I'm gonna have to pick him up early. I'm like, I know he's gonna be exhausted, but also like it would be his first concert. He loves Max. I love Max. I'm like, I just did it. I told my husband today at the baseball field, I'm like, by the way, I bought tickets to go see Max. He's like, seriously? I'm like, yeah, but my mom goes, oh, but it'll be so much fun and memories. Like I always say stuff when my mom's there because she kind of like chimes in and helps my case. But I'm like, I may be crazy for doing it, especially after his week long at camp, but I have to figure out like when I want to tell him too, because I haven't. He knows that he's coming, and I've like mentioned it to him, but I'm super excited. And then this Tuesday, so I was able to get into the lottery again for the Savannah Bananas games. So we went last May. We went down to Nashville to a Savannah Banana game because I was able to get into the lottery. But, like, when you get your, times for like, when the lottery opens up that day to get the tickets, there's, like, time slots, and I was, like, on the waiting list. So, like, once everybody that went through was done, if there were still more seats, that's how I was able to get in, and we had, like, nosebleed seats, which makes sense now. So I ended up, putting in for the game that's in Cleveland because I was like, "Oh, that would be sweet to be in Cleveland because that's where family is." And it's the Indianapolis Clowns playing versus the Party Animals, so it's our Indianapolis team. And I was able to get in, and I have the second group of tickets. So, like, the first group buys tickets, and then I'll be in the second group. So I'm like, chances are I'll get them, and I should be able to get some actual decent seats. My husband's like, "We've already went." I'm like, "But it's the experiences." So I'm fingers crossed, hoping because you can get up to 5 tickets. And Oliver's best friend's birthday is September 22nd, and the game is September 20th. So it's like we could invite him for his birthday because they're both baseball fanatics. So fingers crossed on Tuesday that I'm able to snag some some good seats to go to because I think if you have decent seats, the game's more exciting than when we were up in the nosebleeds at like we were at a football field, not an actual baseball stadium too. So I think it'll be good.
Yeah. That would be so exciting. And I know next week we're going to have a lot more stories, a lot more things to share, even though it's only going to be a week apart from each other this time. But we look forward to hearing what everyone's week is like and just catching up again.
Thanks for sipping and sharing a moment with us today. We can't wait to keep showing up with you each week. Messy, caffeinated, and real.
And if you like what you heard, we'd be so grateful if you'd follow, subscribe, or share this with your teacher bestie, mom group chat, or training partner, or all three. It helps more people find our little corner of chaos and connection.
Make sure to hit follow so you don't miss next week's episode. And don't forget to connect with us on Instagram at Espresso Yourself Podcast. Tell us what resonated, share your own stories, what topics you want us to cover, or just come say hi.
Until next time, keep showing up.
Keep giving yourself grace.
And espresso yourself.
One
sip at a time.
time.